In this episode of making realistic Lethal Company monsters, we're going to be making the Baboon Hawk as well as the mask. According to the bestiary, the Baboon Hawk is a bird-like creature, even though I think it looks more like a bat, which has a bony head and it uses these piercing horns to kill its enemies. The first thing I did was just put in this Baboon Hawk as a reference. I then masked out his beautiful face and did the same for the body as well as the legs and the wings. I then masked out his eyeballs, or what you could say are eyeballs. Alright, now that I got that... What is that? I didn't really know what he was made out of, so I decided to put this skin texture on it. I guess it worked. I then put a bone texture on the face because, you know, it's a bone. I then had the first of many shadows started. I don't really mind it though. It's one of my favorite parts because it adds a lot of character to the character you're making. It adds a lot of roundness and I just like it. I then added shadows to the bottom of the mouth, or bone, I guess, not mouth yet. Then I added shadows to the wings / arm thingies, as well as some shadows underneath the bony head, so it looked like the head just wasn't floating. It's crazy what shadows can do. Just with a little exposure layer, I could use shadows just to make these toes right here. After that, I just added in these wings because I needed the wings, you know. I used warp and I just warped them into place until they fit the arms. I then masked out what I did not need, and you know what? That actually looks pretty decent. So I added some shadows to it because, of course, everything always needs shadows. I then decided that my Baboon Hawk was a little too green, so I changed its skin color to yellow. After that, I just added in its little fur thing, and instead of those weird clumps of hair that it did have, I just added in a nice fur mane. This really added some character to it and made it kind of my own instead of just a recreation. I made it that dark red color, and that looked pretty decent. Of course it needed shadows because everything I do needs shadows. It's honestly getting quite boring at the moment. After that, I just went in and added this alligator mouth because I needed a mouth for the creature and I guess this one just fit the best. I masked it out and put it in there, and then I decided again I needed shadows. So I put the shadows in just like I did before. I then made the tongue a little more red because in the game it's red and not this weird pink unsaturated color. After that, I just decided to add some color differentiation. Whatever. I added different colors. This worked the best on the head because it just needed a little bit more oomph. After that, I added in this different skin just to add some more texture. I used a crocodile skin and that looked pretty good. I then decided I needed a background, so I put in this forest like I do for a lot of my creations. I know, it's not that original. After that, I just darkened up the actual Baboon Hawk and matched the colors with color balance. I then added shadows to the ground because I didn't want the Baboon Hawk to seem like it was just floating in the air. I then decided to try something different. I put this hand in to try to make it look like it was kind of from your own perspective, just like the game is. So I used Puppet Warp and made the hand the position that I wanted. Then I searched Google a lot for a flashlight that would work, and surprisingly, that was pretty freaking difficult. Once I found a flashlight, I just put that in right there. I then matched the colors to the rest of the background, made it a little bit darker and a little more blue. After that was done, I decided I needed to draw in a flashlight beam, so I drew one in just with a soft brush. At first it was yellow, but then I decided to change it to blue because I felt like it matched the scene just a little bit more. Using an exposure layer, I was just able to brighten up that beam, and then I obviously needed some highlights on the creature, so I added some blue bright highlights as well as some exposure layers. After that, I just added a bunch more adjustments of some fog and a camera raw filter, and this is our final product. This guy's pretty much similar to how I expected it to look. I kind of like it. It's got a real creepy vibe, but it's also my own, you know? Anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please tell me what you think of it in the comment section below. Let's move on to the next one. The mask. This guy really isn't a monster, but it's this mask that any crew member can pick up. But if you put it on your face, you become into this evil zombie that will try to kill any of your other crew members. The first thing I did was just grab this astronaut and cut him out using the pen tool. This took an astronomically long amount of time. I then started correcting all the colors, so I made his little oxygen tank yellow, just like the game. I then made all these tubes black because, you know, I thought it fit, and it's kind of similar to the game, not the same though. then got rid of all the American flag stuff because, you know, we're not in America here. I then made the whole suit orange. After that, I made the helmet black as well. Then I made the gloves black too. I then decided it was time for the mask, so I put that thing on. I made his eyes pink just like it is in the game, and that looked pretty decent. I then added some shadows to it to make it kinda match, and then I changed up the shape of his mouth. I added some shadows to the body. And then added some more black tubes coming out just like the example has. I then made this little patch that it has in the game. I drew the little sunset on it just like this. And then wrote leader. I then decided it was time for a background and I put the ship in it as well. I put some shadows on the ground to make it match the scene a little more. I then added some highlights to it. I then added some exposure to the background to make it a little more bright and started adjusting the colors for the actual character. I started on his highlights too. Then I made the highlights actually blue. I then added a nice blur to the background and a good old glow. I added some particles because if light's showing, then particles are showing too. I made the eyes glow because, you know, I just thought it was a good idea and, you know, I like it. I added some highlights because of that glow, obviously. Then some more particles. Did some final effects as well as a camera raw filter, and this is the final product. I hope you guys like this one. I think it's pretty cool. Probably one of my favorites. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Go, go, go. Ah, no!